This is Edward October, host of OctoberPod on YouTube. Hear that jingle jingle? It could be Kris Kringle, or a home invader looking for an open window, a jilted lover looking for revenge, or a disgruntled coworker hoping to spike your eggnog with arsenic. The girls of our true crime podcast are always on Santa's nice list, but the crimes they discuss are very naughty indeed. Listener discretion is advised.
Surprise! We're back.
We are back.
We couldn't let you go
No way.
another Wednesday in December without having a nice little chat from us.
Yeah. Plus, if your holidays were rough, we're here to cheer you up a little bit.
We are.
Or maybe.
Did you
not
have a
cheer
good
up.
Camille? Camille?
I did. Did you?
I did. I got one of my favorite presents.
What is it?
Well, I like weird taxidermy things.
Yes, I know.
Yes. I got a mouse that is an exotic dancer, and I absolutely love her.
Okay.
And I want you to know that they are ethically resourced.
By
so
that, what's that mean exactly? Like
that means that they
were already
had a natural cause
crossed
of
the
death.
Rainbow Bridge naturally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So,
okay. They were not.
Yes.
They did
No.
not die so that you could
Specifically
have
for me. Yes. They
exotic
are all-
dancer.
Yes.
I got you. Okay.
But they're absolutely fabulous, and I absolutely love her. Anyway.
Wow. Okay. Well, I got Christmas jammies, so there's
Woo!
that.
Yay. I love Christmas jammies.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Nothing like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's start. To
Let's
the last
go.
episode of 2023.
That's right. 2023.
I kind of forgot
Jen.
where I was. I kind of had a little mini
Yeah.
stroke there.
Yeah.
I will let you know this is a difficult episode.
Oh,
Very, how do I say?
child
The
abuse.
details are tough and kind of gross. And this is a listener request from Tina. Not only is she a dear friend of the podcast, she's actually one of our longest patrons.
She's an OG.
She is an OG.
All right.
Are we ready?
Totally ready? Let's go.
Total listener discretion, so you can back out now. On the evening of September 11th, 2017, a fisherman spotted an unusual object floating on the surface of Lake Ontario near Oshawa Pier. After several attempts to bring the object closer with his fishing line, he realized he made a grim discovery: the dismembered torso of a woman. Durham Regional Police responded to his concerned call at around 8:30 p.m. that evening. They removed the torso from the water before combing the shore in the Oshawa Harbor in search of more remains. In a public press release, investigators stated that they were unsure of how long the torso had been in the water. However, due to the apparent signs of trauma, they believed the death to be suspicious. The torso showed no sign of identification, such as age indicators, scars, or tattoos, so the Durham Police began scouring their missing people database for clues. They also requested assistance from families of missing loved ones to help with this identification process. 2 days before the torso was found, a missing person report was filed for 18-year-old Rori Hache, who had recently vanished from downtown Oshawa, around 37 miles east of Toronto. Rori was a regular attendee of a drop-in support service known as the Refuge Youth Outreach Center, which offered food, laundry, shower facilities, and education to youths experiencing homelessness. A youth housing support worker at the refuge raised the alarm that Rori had not attended the center for over a week, and her loved ones were immediately concerned. Rory's mother, Dion, said that Rori had a difficult childhood. However, she was a loving child and is described as a kind of girl who would always stand up for other kids at school if they were being bullied. In her early teens, Rori was an Army cadet and was ranked Cadet of the Year in her regiment, making her whole family proud. The grandmother also described her as fiercely intelligent and said Rori had hoped to become a veterinarian one day. However, Dion explains that everything changed the first month of high school when Rori was given crystal meth by one of her peers, and this resulted in a long-term battle with addiction. Her mother had even reported herself to the Children's Aid Society, attempting to support Rori in any way she could. And as she got further into her teens, Rori would spend most of her time in downtown Oshawa and would never stay in one place for long, resulting in her being listed as unhoused.
She got crystal meth as a freshman in high school?
Yeah, that's what they say. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Despite this, her mother says that Rori had just begun to turn her life around 6 months before her disappearance. She finally had her own apartment, she was back in school, and had recently found out that she was having a baby with her boyfriend Tony, which made her sudden disappearance even more perplexing. Those at the refuge last saw Tori on August 27, 2017. Durham Police later identified CCTV of Rori in Oshawa's Lake Ridge Hospital on August 30th. The CCTV shows Rori leaving the grounds alone, and then Rori was never seen again. On November 9th, 2017, around 2 months after the torso was discovered, Rori's mother received confirmation that a positive ID had been made, and the torso, in fact, did belong to her missing daughter. Despite knowing of the ongoing investigation, the family kept their hopes alive and had spent months campaigning for Rori's safe return. They handed out flyers and they shared posts on Facebook. And following this devastating news, a post on Facebook from Rori's godmother, Krisha, stated that Rori's loved ones were consumed by grief and unable to comprehend who could have possibly done this to her. With a positive ID, the Durham Police could investigate those in Rori's life who may have wanted to harm her. However, Rori had no enemies and was generally loved by everyone. A grid search of the Oshawa shoreline was undertaken immediately following the grim discovery, but no items of interest were found. In addition, as the rest of Rori's remains were still missing, the post-mortem was unable to determine Rori's official cause of death. The police suspected that the culprit could be a hunter or may have experience in the medical profession due to the clean and methodical dismemberment of Rori's torso. Still, despite their efforts, the investigation could not find any significant leads that would give them the answers that they were looking for. The investigation continued this way for almost 2 months, when a significant break finally came on December 29, 2017. That evening, a plumber named Sean Farndon dialed 911 to report a suspicious substance found in a drain at a property he was working at. He had gone to the home following complaints from neighbors that their plumbing was backing up into their sinks and bathtubs, and it was causing an unpleasant smell throughout their apartments.
Oh.
Assuming a typical blockage had occurred, Sean began to snake the drain, but was confused about what he saw. He sent a photograph to his boss asking what he should do, and his boss instructed him to call the authorities immediately.
Could you imagine being the plumber?
No. Here's the therapy. He explained to the 911 officer that he had located about 10 to 15 pounds of a fleshy meat-type substance. He described some of the pieces around 18 inches long. Sean also noticed visible patches of hair on the substance and said he was still finding more despite snaking the drain for 4 hours.
I can't believe he would still do that.
No.
I'm out.
I'd be gone too. Durham Regional Police arrived on the scene a short time later, and after observing the substance, they knew instantly that they were dealing with human remains. After speaking with other residents, they knocked on the home's basement apartment and asked the occupant what he was flushing down the toilet. To their horror, he calmly replied, quote, "The gig's up. It's a body. If you want to find the rest of her, she's in the freezer."
Are you?
No, this guy is so cold. He's a monster. Like, when we talk about monsters, he's a monster.
I bet the police were like, okay, this is a joke.
The occupant of the basement apartment, 45-year-old Adam Strong, was handcuffed and taken into custody, and his home quickly became a crime scene. Following his claim, detectives cautiously opened the freezer in his apartment, and there they discovered a human head and limbs, frozen, and wrapped in plastic. There also was a dead raccoon inside.
Why? Why?
You got me. When inspecting the remains, the police observed a single tattoo of the word alive written behind the ear of the victim. And it was at that point that they knew they had finally found Rori. Adam Strong was a gas station attendant at the time of his arrest and resided at the apartment of 19 McMillan Drive since 2007. His home was less than a mile from the hospital where Rori was last seen alive. The police were initially unable to determine a possible connection between the pair, but an investigation into Adam's background revealed some very disturbing factors. On his public Facebook page, Adam posted, quote, "Why is it so hard to find a woman who is honest, loyal, trusting, and willing to accept the sexual freak that I am?"
Right there, the first part,
there you
had
go.
me.
Yeah.
First part, you had me. That last one, mm-mm.
Yep. His profile showed photographs of him holding a large black knife, as well as pictures of handcuffs and dog collars captured, quote, "Home is where my handcuffs hang." One report also states that he had posted a sexualized image of a Simpsons character with the caption, quote, "I'm not sure why, but I find this incredibly hot, and I think I'm a little strange."
Yes, I concur.
His previous relationship history also provided alarming information that gave the police more insight into what kind of man Adam Strong was. One of his ex-girlfriends, Samantha, gave an exclusive interview to the Toronto Sun explaining the dynamic between her and Adam. She claimed he was obsessed with BDSM videos and gore websites that contained graphic videos of murder, dismemberments, car accidents, and other stomach-turning events. She then explained that Adam liked petite young women whom he could control, and his obsession with rough sex began to scare her as the relationship went on. He would regularly choke her during sex and often wouldn't take no for an answer.
Ugh.
Another girlfriend had also claimed to have had a nasty split with Adam following a controlling and abusive relationship. Like Rori, this woman was also vulnerable due to her homelessness and an addiction issues. Following this split, Adam posted on Facebook, quote, "I think I'm going to up my standards from my last girlfriend. My next girlfriend is going to be required to have nice teeth, boobs, and a job, all things which my ex did not have and still doesn't." He's a charmer.
Is that his profile on a dating website?
Yeah. No, that's on Facebook. He posted that to Facebook.
That's same thing. Wow.
Upon arriving at the station, Adam was interviewed for the first time about the remains found in his freezer and his connection to Rori. Adam requested McDonald's and was observed eating and drinking while refusing to answer questions. Throughout this interview, he repeatedly declined to comment, changed the subject when asked a direct question, and was uncooperative with investigators who were becoming increasingly frustrated. After 3 hours, the police decided to terminate the interview, and Adam Strong was charged with interference of a dead body. While held on this charge, the Durham Regional Police began investigating Adam Strong, and forensics were already combing through his filthy, cluttered home looking for any evidence of Rori. Like, he was a hoarder. He was a gross, disgusting home. At one point, the search had to be called off due to the discovery of an undetonated bomb inside of the apartment, requiring a controlled explosion to be carried out before investigators could return inside. Can you imagine the neighbors?
No.
I mean, it's bad enough you've got human flesh in your toilet, clogging up your toilet pipes, sewer pipes, but now there's an undetonated bomb in there. Horrible.
Oh, wow.
During the search, more strips of remains were found in a bucket, and numerous items of interest were sent to be tested by forensics, such as a bent hammer, handcuffs, sex toys, female running shoes, and various swabs taken from blood splatter observed around the apartment. Investigators took particular interest in a Wyoming knife typically used by hunters for gutting and skinning animals that they had found in the kitchen drawer. The knife appeared to have human tissue on it, and investigators believed it would be significant to the case. And they were right.
Yeah.
Around a week after Adam Strong's arrest, Rori's remains were officially identified by DNA. However, the next update from Durham Police didn't come until July 10th of 2018, when they held a press conference to discuss a shocking discovery. The Wyoming knife that they had found in the apartment did in fact contain DNA and human tissue, but it belonged to a young woman who had been missing from Oshawa for almost 10 years.
I knew you were going to say that. Ooh.
And her name was Kandis Fitzpatrick. Kandis Olga Fitzpatrick was born on February 3rd, 1989, and was just 19 when she disappeared in 2008. Her father tried to report her missing many times in the following years, but due to her lifestyle, the police didn't take him seriously. Like Rori, Kandis often left home for weeks, but her father said she would always return or let him know that she was okay. Rori and Kandis didn't know each other, and their loved ones have no idea how they came to meet Adam. Both girls were vulnerable young women who struggled with addiction issues. They both had experienced homelessness, and both frequented the same places in Oshawa. Both girls also worked within the sex trade to earn money, and police believe that this is the only logical explanation for how the girls would have ended up in Strong's home.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. One of the TV shows that I watched on this, it's on YouTube. It's called Crime Beat. After all this happened, they found a photo of Rori with some friends watching it being filmed. I guess it was filmed up somewhere in Canada where she was around.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a picture of her with some friends and blah, blah, blah. And in the background is Adam Strong.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Freaky.
because.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Following this revelation, both families began to grow frustrated at the lack of charges against Adam Strong, and were starting to worry that he's going to get away with murder. Rori's mother, Dion, is quoted as saying, "It's the worst feeling in the world because it's almost like Rori is being minimized, and I believe in the detectives, that they are taking their time for a reason. I'm glad I'm not putting negative pressure on the police force. I'm glad I'm not getting in their heads and taking time away from the investigation." Having gathered more evidence, police interviewed Adam Strong again on November 8th, 2018. During this interview, he was more open about his involvement in Rori's disappearance, but he was extremely cautious of incriminating himself and would often modify his answers midway through responding to officers. Adam admitted he knew Rori this time because she was sleeping in Oshawa Creek around 1,000 yards from his home. He said Rori had been inside his apartment, but had always left on her own accord. The officers asked him how she ended up in his freezer if she always left willingly. Strong said that it was hard to believe, but it was the truth. When discussing disposing of Rori's remains, he claimed to have begun defleshing the remaining body parts on Christmas Eve after putting it off for months. He claimed he defrosted these remains in the bathtub and had to refill the water to keep it hot. He expressed his belief that disposing of Rori like this was an, quote, awesome way, but he just got greedy. The police asked what he was planning to do with the bones once he completed this part of the disposal, and Adam admitted that he was going to pitch them into Lake Ontario. During this interview, Adam claims that he's admitting to this part of the crime as, quote, there's no getting around that he'd chopped her up. During this interview, he also admitted to knowing Kandis Fitzpatrick. Still, he said it was so long ago that he couldn't remember how he met her, and he repeatedly denied any involvement in her death. He also stated, like Rori, that Kandis always left on her own accord after visiting his home. Police then presented the DNA and tissue evidence found on the gutting knife, which linked Adam to Kandis, before asking him why he didn't dispose of it. Adam said, quote, "I'm a real bad procrastinator, and that is a detriment to myself. Definitely fucked me over."
He is a piece of work.
He's so cold.
But
he's
like,
just
it's almost
so matter of fact. And
wow.
I mean, he's definitely creepy. Adam Strong also expressed condolences to Rori's family during this interview. The officer followed this up by asking if he cared more for Rori than Kandis due to his lack of remorse shown in Kandis's case. Adam simply replied, quote, "No, I feel bad that I got caught."
Well, he's honest, because that's apparent.
Shocking.
That's the only thing he feels bad about.
Overall, the second interview lasted around 12 hours and was deemed admissible in court due to Adam being comfortable throughout. He requested McDonald's again, expressing disappointment that the officers forgot his fries. He asked for cigarette breaks, and he was under no duress when admitting his offenses.
I can't believe they got him McDonald's.
Following this interview, Adam Strong was charged with 2 counts of murder in the cases of both Rori Hache and Kandis Fitzpatrick. The prior charge of interfering with the body was dropped. Strong appeared in court the next day via a video link where he formally received his charges and is described as looking disheveled. That's the nice way to say it. And he told the court that he had been awake all night long worrying.
Aw, poor fella.
Upon leaving the court, Rory's mother celebrated the news and said, quote, "I don't think the taxpayers should have to waste $1 of their money to try to rehabilitate this man and reform him. You can't reform somebody like this. They're born without a soul. I would like to see him own what he's done to both girls and come clean with it without a deal being presented to him. The best he could do is come clean and give us what we want to know." Strong pleaded not guilty to both murder charges put against him, and the trial officially began on September 28, 2020, at the Oshawa courthouse. Adam waived his right to a jury trial and requested a judge-alone trial instead. In addition, due to COVID-19 restrictions in place, very few people were allowed to attend the trial in person, and the seats were reserved for family members of the victims. They were also unable to sit together due to distancing requirements. The Crown Attorney, Brian Geerton, began his opening statements by discussing the cold winter day when strips of Rory's remains were found in the pipes of Adam Strong's basement home. He explained that before the 911 call, Strong had attempted to snake the drain himself and told his neighbors that it was an inflated condom that was causing the blockage. After a few days of Adam trying to fix the issue and failing, neighbors gave up and called the plumbers themselves. Geerton tells the judge of Adam's calm demeanor when answering the door that day and how he casually confessed that the rest of Rory's body would be found in the freezer. It would be revealed that once police were transporting Adam to the police station, he admitted that he, quote, knew it was over when the plumbers were called and that he had been considering suicide. Geerton then summarized the case against Strong, including the injuries found on Rory's remains, the blood spatter evidence around his home, phone data that placed him at Lake Ontario, and the DNA evidence on several items that painted a horrifying picture of Rory's final moments. Geerton also expressed Kandis Fitzpatrick likely died in the same way at the hands of Adam Strong, despite Strong refusing to tell the officers what happened or where her remains would be found. In the initial days of the trial, the judge watched a 12-hour video interview in which Adam discussed his thought process when disposing of Rory's remains. At the time, Adam was being held on the lesser charge of interfering with a dead body and expressed his fear of getting out of prison after 2 years. He believed that somebody would kill him. He also confessed that an attorney had advised him to hold information back so he can make deals with the investigators. Strong said, quote, "Internet access, comfortable living, that's all I want for whatever years I have left. I don't want to get stabbed in the back. You understand that?" I know.
Like, he's living on a different plane.
I know.
Does he know what, like, where we are, planet Earth, and that you murdered these 2 girls? Do you, like, hello?
Monster. All right.
I think he's just not, like, there's something else there.
During this interview, Strong also refused to explain how he dumped Rory's torso in Lake Ontario. The detective, Paul Mitten, explained that he had phone data evidence that proved Adam had been at the lake on the 4th of September, a week before the torso was found. Strong acknowledges this and quickly responds, "Well, there you go." The video also allowed the judge to hear Adam's reasoning for how he was caught. Adam explains that he should have just boiled the knife with Kandis's DNA on it, but that he had always put it off for another day until he ultimately forgot about it. This theme continues. Strong states that he looked at Rory's remains in his home daily and told himself that he'd do it tomorrow, and left it for months due to his laziness. He never cleaned his dirty home, leaving blood evidence around the whole apartment, which connected him to both girls. Adam then blamed his behavior on the fact that he was not nurtured as a child and claimed to have been raped by a babysitter at the age of 4, leading to deviant thoughts throughout his early childhood.
Mm-hmm.
At the last second, we're going to throw that in.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to do what he kind of. Mm-hmm.
Yep. The court then heard from several witnesses who attested to Adam's shady character, such as Adam's ex-girlfriends, friends, and co-workers who had had alarming interactions with this killer. Both ex-girlfriends expressed Adam's desire for bondage and choking during sex, and one admitted that she was frightened whenever the choking would occur. Another witness testified that in the early 2000s, Adam and his then-girlfriend had visited a local store in Oshawa that sold sex toys and bondage equipment. The girlfriend wore a dog collar and a leash, and her severely bloodshot eyes led the owner to ask her if she was okay. Adam, of course, was the one to explain to him that their play had gone a bit too far the previous night, and then the pair left. The judge then heard from Paul Parker, a taxi driver who had begun hanging out with Adam during night shifts. Adam is said to have been working at a gas station then, and Paul would visit him during quiet work periods. Paul explained that he teased Adam for not being able to get a girlfriend, and this made Adam mad. Adam then got his phone and showed Paul a video of a blindfolded, naked young woman tied to a door frame in Adam's home. Adam could be seen interacting with a woman sexually in the video. Paul was horrified at what he was seeing because he believed that the woman looked so young that she could have been a child. Paul also explained that Adam would show him gory videos of people being murdered or people committing suicide. That fascination is just unbelievable to me.
This guy is unbelievable. Every time I think I can't be shocked anymore, he says something stupid.
Another female witness discussed Adam's behavior when working with him in the 90s at a local coffee house. One day, Adam had invited her to his sex dungeon, which he claimed to be in his basement. Initially, the woman thought he was joking. He then repeatedly made claims that he had whips and chains and handcuffs and would tie her up and control her. The women quickly grew scared of Adam and stopped engaging with him at work. She should have told on him and he would have been fired.
That's what I'm thinking. Or at least, I don't know, checked out.
In the following weeks, the judge heard from a forensic pathologist who conducted the postmortem on Rori's remains. The pathologist, Andrew Williams, explained that a definitive cause of death couldn't be found due to the defleshing and dismemberment of Rori's body and the several methods of disposal in her case. In addition, the police have never been able to locate Rori's internal organs. During the examination of Rori's head, the pathologist noted 2 fractures consistent with blunt force trauma on her skull, but explained that she had no injury to her brain. Rori also had visible bruising on her chin, both cheeks, and around her right eye, which Mr. Williams believed to have occurred before her death. A sample taken from Rori's remains indicated the presence of methamphetamine and cocaine at the time of her death. The court then heard from Christopher Kane, an officer of Durham Regional Police, who had encountered Rori in August of 2017, just a few days before her disappearance. He'd noted that she'd cut her hair very short in a childlike fashion and had visible injuries to her hands. When he inquired what they were, Rori explained that she had been using drugs again and that she would go on dates to pay for them. He was so concerned, he reached out to his superiors and began taking steps to get her back into stable housing. He tried to find her again on August 27th of 2017 to let her know that he had found her a place to stay, but he couldn't locate her. Next, the judge heard of the forensic search of the blood splatter evidence found in Adam's home. Upon initial arrival at the scene, officers had located a dead raccoon, a human head, 2 femurs, 2 hands, lower legs, both feet, and a pelvis within the chest freezer of the filthy apartment. Rori was believed to be a contributor to the DNA in several items found, and these items are a rolled-up air mattress with visible blood staining, a spreader bar bondage device with cuff attached, pink blood-spattered running shoes found in a plastic bag, a hammer bent out of shape with traces of blood, a crowbar, large knives, numerous sex toys, let me say that again, ropes, pulleys, and a pet leash that are all used to restrain. Kandis's DNA was found in the chest freezer and was located amongst the numerous blood spatter found on the ceiling and walls of Adam's home. The main piece of evidence linking Kandis to Adam was the Wyoming knife that officers found in the kitchen drawer. After 2 long months of evidence, the trial ended on November 20th, 2020. The Superior Court Judge, Joseph DeLuca, was expected to deliver a verdict within the following weeks. But due to COVID lockdowns and the busy holiday period, the verdict was repeatedly pushed back until the spring of the following year. The hearing finally began on March 16, 2021, and Judge DeLuca opened a statement by explaining his decisions for each verdict, summarizing the evidence and horrific details heard previously. The judge explained that the burden was on the prosecution to prove Adam's guilt, and he believed that they had done so in this case of Rori Hache. Judge DeLuca said that he was satisfied with the relief that Rori died in the hands of Adam Strong between September 1st and September 3rd of 2017 for many reasons. First, the apartment above Adam Strong was unoccupied during this period, which allowed Adam to have total freedom inside his home. Secondly, cell phone data proved that on September 1st, Strong traveled to Oshawa Creek, where Rori was sleeping, before returning to his house, where he remained for the following 36 hours. His phone then recorded him traveling to Lake Ontario on September 4th, where he is believed to have disposed of Rori's torso. Judge DeLuca states that he believes that Rori died in the bedroom of the apartment, despite Adam Strong's denial. He says Strong made the efforts to cover his track by hiding the air mattress where Rori's blood was located, and how he had carefully cut out the blood-stained portion of the bed to destroy this evidence. He adds that he is also satisfied that Rori died of blunt force trauma and that the bruising on her face and skull fractures obtained before her death showed a violent interaction between the pair. He believes that had he had not been caught, Adam would have carried out this plan of disposing the remains in Lake Ontario, continuing to fly under police radar. In addition, DNA evidence proved that Adam and Rori had engaged in sexual intercourse. However, the judge states that it became non-consensual the moment it turned violent. The judge then moved on to the death of Kandis Fitzpatrick. Again, he expressed that he believed the prosecution proved that Kandis died in the hands of Adam Strong and that she was placed in his freezer at some point and that the Wyoming knife was used as the crime was being committed. However, he stated that he was unaware of how Kandis died due to the lack of evidence. Judge DeLuca then referenced many statements made by Adam, which have allowed him to conclude that Kandis met the same fate as Rori. For example, Adam expressed his surprise that Rori's torso had surfaced due to him removing internal organs. The judge believed that this was likely because he successfully used this method before. Next, he referenced another quote by Strong discussing Rori's liver, stating, quote, "I've never seen one that big before," implying that he had dismembered Kandis's body and he had seen her liver too.
Or other people's.
Thank you. During this conclusion, Judge DeLuca says that he's unable to determine if Kandis died the same way as Rori, and the prosecution had not provided evidence of intent to murder. He was unable to determine if a sexual assault had occurred, and there was lack of evidence to prove dismemberment or any other method of disposal used in Kandis's death. Finally, he found Adam Strong guilty of the murder of 18-year-old Rori Hache and guilty of lesser charge of manslaughter for the death of 19-year-old Kandis Fitzpatrick.
Wow.
The sentencing hearing began just 3 weeks later on May 10th. Due to a positive COVID-19 test, Rori's mother, Dion, was unable to be there in person and had to attend the hearing virtually. She delivered her victim impact statement via video link and spoke of how she will never see her beautiful daughter fall in love, graduate, get married, or have children. Throughout her statement, she referred to Adam Strong as a monster who needs to pay for what he has done. Next, Rori's father, Eric, told Strong has brought darkness to everyone and discussed how he and Kandis's father will miss being able to walk their daughters down the aisle. The judge then heard statements from Kandis Fitzpatrick's family. Her mother, Vicky, said, quote, "I will never know the joy of watching her grow. You robbed the world of a beautiful soul. I hope and pray that you one day grow a conscience. Kandis's sister Oksana also provided a statement telling the court that she could never call her big sister for advice just because Strong decided that her life was not worth living. Kandis's father, Bill, says, quote, "My family lost someone we all loved so much. He took so much from us." As the impact statement concluded, Judge Joseph DeLuca addressed Adam Strong directly, saying that he had demonstrated in the most transparent way possible that there was no reasonable prospect for rehabilitation. He added, quote, "Your moment before us is done. You are a dangerous predator who will never be seen in public again." The judge handed down a life sentence for the first-degree murder of Rori Hache and an 18-year sentence for the manslaughter of Kandis Fitzpatrick. Both sentences were ordered to run concurrently. Both families celebrated with cheers outside the courthouse, shouting, "He will never see the light of day again." Cannot imagine how
Thank goodness
they felt. Speaking in the absence of Rory's mother, Krisha Mildyke, Rory's godmother, told reporters, quote, "It doesn't change the fact that our girls are not coming home, but today we let them rest. Today this monster is off our streets and he's no longer part of our day. He's no longer part of our lives." In another turn of events, 2 months after his sentencing hearing, Strong made hints to a prison officer about the whereabouts of Kandis Fitzpatrick's body. Following this revelation, police conducted several interviews with Adam. Eventually, in November 2021, they gained authorization to escort Adam out of the prison and back to Oshawa to finally locate Kandis.
I see what he's doing. I see what's going on here. Okay, go ahead.
While cuffed to officers, Strong directed the search team to a general area where he believed Kandis was buried. Kandis's remains were found just 30 feet away from Adam's basement home in a small clearing on Secreto Drive.
Okay, see, I didn't think that. I thought that he just wanted some fresh air. Well,
No.
at least he did one good thing.
Speaking about the discovery and what it means for the case, Detective Sergeant Doris Carrera, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, said, quote, "He's already been convicted of those offenses. We can't upgrade charges post-conviction, and at this time, we're not looking to lay any additional charges." In addition, she confirmed that Adam was not incentivized to reveal the location of Kandis's remains and didn't receive financial compensation or additional privileges. She added, quote, "The question as to why, that would be the question for Mr. Strong." The discovery brought both sadness and relief to both families of the victims, and Rory's mother describes hearing the news as feeling like November 9th, 2017 all over again, when the unidentified torso floating in Lake Ontario was confirmed to be Rory's. She says, quote, "I'm not grateful to him. I'm thankful to God that he made this happen. I'm happy for the family to have closure now. Conscience is ugly when you're dealing with it in the dark all by yourself." As of today, Adam Strong remains incarcerated and will not be eligible for parole until December 29th, 2042.
That's too soon.
It's way too soon. He needs to never be let out.
No. I wonder if he did it before.
I don't
A
know.
little comment about the organ, size of the organ or whatever.
The liver was so large.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a horrible,
I think
we
like,
discuss horrible human beings every week on here, but there's something about him that really makes my skin crawl. And you told me that you saw this interview.
I did.
It is on a TV show. What show was it that you watched?
Raw Interrogation, maybe? Interrogation Raw? I can't remember. It's just him. So that show just does interrogation. So they did not get into all of that. I just know the smarminess when he said something and I think the officer, it's been a while, but it was like, "Why did you do that? Like, why did you shove flesh down the drain?" And he's like, "Well, it's an excellent idea if I wouldn't have gotten caught." Something like that. And he's like, "Am I right?" Like he's wanting the police officers to commend him for this brilliant idea. And that's his whole, like, there's way more wrong with him than just like a psychopath. He's like, I don't know.
He's something. He is so cold. And if you watch the interrogation and you watch how he's just speaks so matter-of-factly to these police officers, it's scary. If I worked with him, you would be able to pick. people that worked with him had to have been able to pick up how weird he was and how just not right. Something. Yeah. But that
then,
is...
you work with odd people and then you call them out for being weird or odd or creepy. And then, I don't know, you don't think they're going to come and get you, but they do. Oh, boy.
But poor Kandis and Rori, I'm telling you. And he would have gone on for more if he wouldn't have been caught.
He would have just fine-tuned it. Thank God he was lazy. Thank God he was lazy.
I know. And I mean, Dennis Nilsson kind of did the exact same thing. But
just one thing.
Flushing the thing in the bones in the toilet and such. But this is...
but knowing that,
creepy.
He knew he was lazy. He knew he should have done... and it's just... I don't know. There's lots of words, but I don't know what one to use for him. I have several. I could, but I won't because,
Well, shout out to Tina because I had not known about this at all. And it's quite disturbing.
People out there that are... I don't know. You just wonder who you work by and live by and associate
dating
with.
Sites. I know. Going on dating sites. I mean, if I was working with somebody that would talk to me about chains and whips and how he could control me or all that, I mean, I'd immediately go to HR. And it's not.
Oof.
Try to get him put on some kind of FBI list.
That's what I'm like. What if they would have come and talked to him? But I guess you can't. And you can't. If officers went and talked to every single person they got a complaint about, I mean, that's all they would do, I'm sure.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know if you would go in and, I don't know. Hindsight's 20/20, I guess. But I'm just thinking if you go in there. I
really wish that the taxi driver would have said something when he saw that video. And he said that he thought it was a young girl, which I'm assuming it's Rori because the police officer said Rori cut her hair, made her look like a child. Yeah. But no, I'm not blaming him at all. I just wish
it's just, well, sometimes, how many times do you think, who knows what we see and we don't really realize what we see.
And if he's showing other videos that, I don't know.
Oof. Well, that's a doozy. Thanks for that extra that we could have probably done without.
No, that's a listener request from Tina. We love Tina. Tina's amazing. Like I said, she's been a friend of the podcast since believe our beginning. Yeah,
OG.
Since one of the very beginning. So
that's a long 5.5 years. That's a commitment.
I know.
I mean, that's.
Thank you, Tina, for many, many, many things.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Jen, we have any promos this week?
We do this week. The promo is for Weird Distractions, which is hosted by my dear friend, Alex.
Aw.
I love Alex. She's Canadian, lives right above us, the hat of America.
See, I would have said the upstairs floor of America, but yeah.
Yeah. She is fun. She's funny. I love her. She has 2 cats that are absolutely fantastic. And you know how I love my kitties. But Weird Distractions is a great podcast. One week it's true crime. The next week it's kind of ghosty and spooky and all sorts of good stuff. So listen to her promo, like and subscribe.
Good. I'll check it out.
Love Alex with all my heart and soul. She's great. But that's it. That's our surprise episode of the year. And this time we mean it. We're not going to be back until January 10th.
Yeah, for real, we won't. So don't even think. Just kidding. We're back next week. No, I'm just kidding. We're not. No way, Jose. We need the break. All right. Until 2024. This time I mean it, Jen. Remember, lock your doors.
Keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya. See you next year. For more information about this episode, as well as all other sources, please check out our show notes or the podcast website at ourtruecrimepodcast.com. Our True Crime Podcast is developed and created by the hosts, Jen and Cam. Original music and audio mix of all our True Crime Podcast episodes is courtesy of Nico Vertesi from We Talk of Dreams. You can reach Nico at wetalkofdreams.com. Listener discretion is provided by Edward October from OctoberPod VHS. You can find all of his great works on YouTube. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our True Crime Podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be reached on Instagram and Facebook at Our True Crime Podcast or on Twitter with the handle at Our True Crime Pod. You can also email us at ourtruecrimepodcast@gmail.com. We would also at this time like to thank our patrons. We would be so lost without you. Thank you so much. And if you would like to help support the show, you can check us out on patreon.com/OurTrueCrimePodcast. You can also show your support by leaving a 5-star review on Apple or simply just tell your friends about us. It's that easy. Love ya.
Weird Distractions is a weekly true crime, paranormal, conspiracy theory podcast hosted by me, Alex. Each week, I tell you what I need a distraction from before diving into a topic to help me distract myself from whatever is going on. My hope is that you too can get a distraction from tuning in and maybe learn something on the way. From haunted hospitals to cold cases and every bizarre online theory in between, there's a little something for every weirdo out there. If this sounds up your alley, then join me every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on your favorite podcast platform or search Weird Distractions Podcast on any social media account. Need a distraction? I got you.